I like that idea. Where did the idea come from?
Well, I've known some of the people in my book. I've known a con artist, I've known a minister, and then I put my own, as the streets say, swag into it.
Yeah.
My own swag in it.
That is so good. You know, I often ask writers who are on this show, especially those who either have several books or, like you, have so many different projects. Do you find that there is a thumbprint on your work? Like I find when I write, I'm drawn to writing about sisters. I don't set out consciously to say I'm going to write about sisters, but that's what always comes through. Do you find there are certain themes or elements that you always want to explore in your work?
There's always a theme of overcoming odds and the power of the human spirit. And you're right, I try to write it, but it comes out that way.
Yeah, and I think that's important. I think once you recognize it, you just go with it. You know, why fight it?
You know, Zita, not to change it, but you're a great interviewer. I've been on different shows, and you ask the right questions. I mean, you're awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Know, so, you know, maybe Oprah can take a lesson or something. She's awesome, but, you know, but you know, you're a fantastic, you know, host, and I mean that.
Thanks, Joe. Thank you. You know, in my kitchen, I have a plaque up above the wall, a big wooden plaque, and it says, "Home is where your story begins." So I know for me that's true, and I think probably that's why I have the tendency, the desire to keep exploring stories about sisters. Thinking of that, home is where your story begins, is there anything in your home, you know, childhood, growing up, home you create as an adult, that says you got the message that about overcoming odds, about going for your dreams?
Well, I think it goes back to my mother, who passed in 1989 of diabetes, and she was all about self-reliance and overcoming odds, and her favorite line was, "Anything worth having doesn't come easy," and she would drop all this philosophy and all this stuff on us, you know, so we didn't need Dr. Phil later on in life, you know. So, and she was a disciplinarian, but she was very, very spiritual. My work is very spiritual, even though it may have like a street swagger to it. It is very spiritual, not religious, but more spiritual. And I believe overcoming the human spirit is a spiritual thing.
I agree with you, certainly do. You know, Joe, when I have authors on the show, I like for the author to read page 1, because the show is page 1. And I happen to have another copy here of Diamond Rough. Now, I can't tell. Oh, I see up here the young adult version. I was going to say, how would we know? But it's right up there on the top. So would you read?
There's a little small print on this book.
Page 1, and maybe up to a little bit, maybe up to here on the top of page 2. So we get a sense of the story and how you tell it.
Okay. The unfairness of life, playing the right game and playing to win. You never get used to the stairs as they walk through the plane to find their seat. First class has that stigma. People rubberneck to see the successful with looks of jealousy or fascination or sneers. The flight attendants use a finger as a bulletless gun to point the masses in their end of the plane. This especially happens going to LA, because people always look to see if there's anyone famous. When you're a black man, their smiles turn to sneers, as if you have jelly from breakfast toast still stuck on your face. I shake my head and go about my business. I sit back in comfort on the wide red seat, my bag down by my side, and I close my eyes briefly. It has been a long time since I traveled alone. Back then, it had to be done. Those were my business trips, but it hasn't changed. The faces may change, the costumes, the hair color, but it is all the same delivery. There is the over-friendly girl with the painted-on smile, overly sweet like a heroin addict. It's the game. We all have our roles, and we all play the game. Almost on cue, the businessmen come in. They survey the cabin for business opportunities. They see me. No cheese down this tube. It's like I can hear their thoughts. I smirk. I can buy your friggin' company if I wanted to. They nod with a half-baked false smile. Others walk in with stress pasted on their face. A deal went bad for them, or they are just hungover. In my business, you study people. It is a skill I have mastered. In the game, you study mannerisms. You see, not just look. You study the posture, the movement of the head, even the subtle things like rubbing their fingers together, the things they don't even notice. I take a sip of my drink. They put it in a larger glass with an orange and lime slice on the edge to make you feel important. It's a scam. It comes from the same can served to people in Coach. It's just they open the 2 cans instead of 1. I turn to the left and I see that guy that sneered at me before, reading a book. I can only read the title, The Unfairness of Life.
Oh, Joe. Okay, now I have to ask.
Yep.
That point of view in the beginning, that's the con artist, right?
Yep.
Okay.
But he's reformed at this point.
He's reformed at this point, yeah.
yeah.
So now we're going to flash back and find out how he got where he is now.
How he became a multimillionaire at 28.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I want to, because I don't want to give things away about the story, but what can you tell us a little more about the story in connection with the movie? I mean, you're actually making an independent film.
Yep.
Well, your background in animation and stuff, that seems logical. But you're making an independent film based, is it based on the book itself?
Oh, yeah, it is the book.
Because, you know, a lot of times there'll be a book made into a movie and people will go, oh, the movie was so much better, or the book was so much better. It's all up to you, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's so why I'll go the independent route.
All right, so are you following the adult version or the youth version for the movie?
That's going to be the challenge. The script was written with the adult version, but I might do it with the young adult version. The story's still the same, and I want to try to reach as many people as I can, and I think I could do that more with the young adult version. But the book is, the movie is based on the book. Actually, the book has 2 movies in it. The movie, the 90-minute movie, will be on the first half of the book.
Oh.
So it's a trilogy too.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, so.
So are these characters that you in your mind are saying these are going to live on and do other projects?
And then I have the second book is in my head. I just got to put it on the paper, where Diamond becomes president of the United States, but he gets tied up with this crooked minister, and Reverend Woods gets in. You know, something happens to him. And this crooked minister got caught up in a nonprofit, but he's a prophet, folks who foresee the future. So the title of the second book is Diamond Rough, a nonprofit.
This is wonderful because on the second book, then you're flip-flopping the idea of which one has the more reforming to do.
Exactly.
Very, very interesting.
But the film is a struggle. I've never done an independent film. I've never done it. This will be the biggest project to date, but I feel blessed because anytime we kick a big project, we're on page 1, so I feel like this is part of the formula. We had to come by page 1 to make this thing happen. Like you're making a movie, you got to go by LA, you got to go by New York, so we got to go by page 1. But the book takes place in Hartford, Connecticut, so it'll be the first major feature film shot with over $1 million budget in Hartford, Connecticut.
Is the movie animated, or are you?
Oh, it's live action.
It's live action.
And we've got some people tied into some actors. Remember Jim Noble, who starred in the TV show Benson?
Yes.
He's signed on with it. Fredro Starr, who starred in the movie Save the Last Dance. But again, we're raising a lot of money. I've never done it, and the scary part is, it's happening during one of the worst economic times in history, that we're trying to do this feat. So.
That's very true, but I'll tell you, I look at things like that, go, if this is where you have your greatest challenge. I mean, it's new to you, it's a new project. We're in a horrible economic time to be taking, such a leap. And think about how great you're going to feel when you succeed. Because if you can do it in this lousy climate, I mean,
exactly.
It'll be great afterwards. And Connecticut is just prime territory now for film.
Yep.
Are you involving young people in any way in the making of the film, in assisting or something?
Oh yeah, they'll always be part of it. I also started, a lot of people don't realize, I started the Hartford Animation and Film Institute, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. So we're going to have them help out with some of the things and work with the filmmakers. But again, it's a struggle, but it can be done,